restricting travel to and from Ebola-stricken countries. When you close off a country, you create such stress and fear and amplify the problem. National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease Director Anthony Fauci, F-A-U-C-I, said on Fox News Sunday, I think any healthcare person will agree with me that's not a good idea to completely block off the country. Okay, don't completely block off the country. Just generally block off the country. Majorly block off the country. Block off. And listen, listeners, those of you who've been following me for, remember when I filled in for Bob Durgan years ago? I was the first guy in the world to say, hey, let the Arab terrorist in. Let the Islamic terrorist in. And we're going to take a little side note about that in a minute, by the way. We're going to talk about Ben Affleck and Bill Maher. I know some of you are huge Bill Maher fans. I like Bill Maher, and I know you guys don't like the fact that I like Bill Maher. But he put it to Ben Affleck on the Islamic jihad. The same way Bill Maher is anti-Christian, he's anti-Islamist. He's an equal opportunity atheist or agnostic, whatever he may be. And while he likes to make fun of Christians, he certainly is not above calling radical Islam, and Ben Affleck was on his show apologizing for radical Islam. I guess I could go into that later, but it's a good, worthy side note. Anyhow, my whole point on this is this. So the White House doesn't want to call a spade, doesn't want to say, we can shut down this country. And the reason I point that out is, remember, I'm a kind of guy, I'm a civil libertarian. I don't want anybody restricted. I don't believe in restricting travel. I'm not worried about illegal immigrants every day like some people are. I'm not generally worried about foreigners. I have no xenophobia. I even like black people. I know some of you listening go, oh, that's a revelation for some of you. But seriously, who cares about that stuff? Well, you know what? At this stage, we have a contagion spreading, and we know where it is. And now we are letting those people, not meaning those people, but meaning the people who are exposed to it or likely to be exposed to it, come into our country. That's why in Newark, we've got people in hazmat suits raiding planes. That's why we've got a guy with Ebola who might have given it to a homeless guy who's now running around Dallas. And wait, they're doing such a crack job containing Ebola. They're doing such a crack job containing it, right? What were they doing? They have pictures of guys with a garden hose or power washer with no hazmat suits on, washing the blood and vomit off the sidewalk from the one known Ebola patient. I got news for you, kids. I got news for you. A dead Ebola person or a live Ebola person, when they're in full stage Ebola, their fecal material, their urine, their saliva, their blood, and their vomit, and their skin and their sweat are highly contagious. We know he had it. So what's the answer to cleaning the place up? Well, we're just going to wash it off the sidewalk and, hope kids don't play in that lawn. Hope kids don't play in that lawn. Yeah, that's the answer. No big technical response. No guys in suits scrubbing it down. They had more guys in respirators and suits in the E.T. movie going to extract the alien, right? That's what we would envision with a little tunnel, right? Ain't doing that here. Ain't doing that here. Now, we're just going to send some guys out with a broom and a hose. Get to it, boys. Clean it up. Get it off the sidewalk. Yeah, that's the level of our response. That's why I firmly believe this won't be our first or our last. Our first or our last struggle with this particular disease. I'm exasperated. I'm completely exasperated. What other articles could I go through with you? Well, we could take a little sojourn, Turns out one of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court justices was trading in the little porno email there. He's involved in the Attorney General's office, McCafferty. I don't know. He says, hey, it's my private email, because you're sending it to guys at the state who are then forwarding it. The big issue, though, is this coziness between prosecutors and judges. I would like to see Kane release all the emails, not just for the porn portion, but I want to see which judges and which prosecutors and which defense attorneys were sending back and forth crazy little, hey, buddy, emails. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'm your friend. I can trust you. I can send. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if I can send you a porn email, right? if I can send you a picture of a naked girl, some boobies, then I must know you well enough or feel comfortable enough or think that we're friends enough that you're not going to go crazy about it. Well, how the hell is it that judge of the Supreme Court and attorneys from the Attorney General office are such butt buddies that one could forward the emails to the other without any fear whatsoever of the other one going, wait a minute, this is inappropriate. Now imagine you were a defendant. I represented many defendants prosecuted by the Attorney General's office besides the big one, whose Supreme Court is supposed to decide your case, but the same judge who's trading porno emails with the district attorney's office, or in this case, the Attorney General's office, is the same one who's going to rule on your case, or at least in part rule on your case, or may make a big difference. And remember, the way they vote publicly has nothing to do with maybe how it was discussed privately. And he or she may have persuaded the colleagues to vote a certain way without disclosing at all their close and confidential relationship, because obviously you're sending porno emails to attorneys who appear in front of you. Your close and confidential relationship with them without disclosing it. Every case that jurist was on that involved those lawyers could be tainted. Some things make me glad I'm not a lawyer anymore. A little seriousness. Oh, let's see. Oh, what was the other little Ebola thing here? Well, remember our friend, Dr. Rick Scara. He's the Ebola survivor, but now he's back in a mass hospital with, a respiratory thing, saying it's not a relapse of Ebola. It's probably not Ebola. It probably shouldn't be Ebola. It couldn't be Ebola, but we're not sure yet because we're waiting for the test results back, but it's just a little relapse respiratory thing. Or is Ebola not as easily cured or dealt with as they're telling us? I don't know. So again, I'm just a fear monger, mongering your fear, wasting your time and my time discussing these things because, that's all I want to do is monger fear and spread the fear and spread the loathing. Well, here's what The Onion says, by the way, while we're at it, because we may have a little levity here. Boil all body fluids before consumption. Well, actually cooking the jungle meat would probably be a good idea. Regularly examine your DNA under an electron microscope for indication that Ebola has attached itself to your cell membranes. Remember that the symptoms of Ebola include fever, chills, and developing symptoms too late to do anything about them. Yeah, that's one of the problems, right? Cover the nose and mouth of Ebola patients when they sneeze to avoid spreading germs. Avoid eating bat soup. And it goes on from there. Oh, and continue following the lifelong plan of avoiding Dallas, Texas at all costs. Of course, I'd actually heard earlier somebody say that, the Cowboys had proven that nobody in Dallas can catch anything anyhow. But that would be a tasteless joke to tell on the air, so I won't do it. Which reminds me, by the way, my Buffalo Bills did win today. And I'm telling you, man, this is old school Bills. The old school NFL Bills, they are winning games in the fourth quarter because there's no better way to win a game until the very end, because that's the way the Bills did it when they were four-time AFC champs. A little problem with the Super Bowl back then, but we won't discuss that on the air. We'll just pretend that never happened and they were just four-time AFC champs and that somehow counts for something. They were almost a fifth-time AFC champ, and I believe that the game was fixed at that point to prevent the Buffalo Bills from going to the Super Bowl because the ratings would have fallen off. There may, in fact, not be a Super Bowl at this point had the Bills made their fifth one consecutively, because everybody would know what the result of the game was going to be in advance. But anyhow, I am still hopeful that the Bills will continue their march forward this season. Not sure about you Giants and Redskins fans, what you guys are going to do. Really not. Pittsburgh, what the hell happened to them? Anyhow, I'm going to take my prerogative and wrap this show up early tonight. I don't have a lot more to say, except to update you on the fact that, A, keep these in mind, Ebola's on the move in America. B, you have to get your sources from Israel and the UK, because the U.S. government is still somehow keeping the mainstream press silent. When that guy from Dallas wanted to go to press and complain about his ambulance not being taken out of service, Breitbart News had to provide it, and then I caught it when InfoWars, God forbid that I have to read InfoWars for news. I hate Alex Jones as a general rule. I think he's a bigger nutbag than I am. And when somebody sent me the InfoWars story, and then I found out, it takes back to Breitbart News, I felt a little better about it. But at the same time, Breitbart basically said in their article that the guy had contacted many mainstream press outlets and nobody wanted to write up his story. Because it's not part of the narrative that they're supposed to be telling. It's not part of the talking points. I'm sure the CDC's taking these guys aside and say, Bob, I know you want to report like the news and do like what they taught you in journalism school, but do you remember that Tom Clancy book, like when the Japanese thought that they had attacked the Americans, and CNN and all the networks went along with showing the ship under repairs and convincing the Japanese that the United States was not back to full naval power? Do you remember how that was like a patriotic thing to do for the press to play along? Like, even Tom Clancy thought that was patriotic. So what we need you to do is just don't report this guy dead right away, and just if these crazy people come in with stories about like not cleaning the lawn or the ambulance being out, just don't tell anybody about them right away, or just don't retweet that or give it any credence with because we know that nobody actually reads Breitbart News. I mean, like 1.1% of the population will get it, but the 98 percentile that we need to control for crowd control purposes, we just need you on our side. We just need you going along with what we do. Can you do that? Okay, thanks, Bob. Yeah, that's what's going on, folks. That's what's really going on in America today. That's what's really going on in America today. So, anyhow, heed my warning. Don't travel to Liberia. Don't go anywhere in frickin' Africa for the moment. I know that sounds terrible, but you know what? Just stay away. Don't ride the Carlisle circulator bus. Whatever you need to do to avoid the Ebola exposure. But seriously, my whole thesis tonight is, again, to remind people, information is not trickling in from the mainstream media. It's trickling in from the side. It's trickling in from the right. It's trickling in from the left. You're not going to hear the truth filtered down to you because they don't want the panic. And am I trying to tell you to panic? Not yet. Not yet. If I feel it's time to pull the ripcord, I'll be the first guy to come on the air and tell you that. I'm not trying to go coast to coast on you. I'm not trying to go Alex Jones on you. It's just something that I think, and every time I go, okay, I'm going to move on from Ebola now. I'm just going to stop talking about Ebola tonight because I can set it aside for every 3 days. No. Revelation after revelation after revelation keeps coming up. Information keeps creeping in. We keep learning. We keep learning that there's more to know. We keep learning that we're not being told the truth. We keep learning that stuff is being hidden. So, be sure and follow me on Spreaker. I'll keep you updated. Hopefully by Wednesday, there'll be nothing new to report. We can move on to other topics. Wednesdays at 8, Sundays at 8, although I'm going to take information. If you guys want me to change times, I'm always open because I'd like callers, 717-916-5189. If that's the call line number. If you want to call in now, you might have like a 13-second chance of getting on the air. But... listen to what happened with Bill Maher. Well, Bill Maher actually was speaking out because Bill Maher does. He was speaking out to talk about the evils of Islam and how radical Islamists, have a religion where, if you don't follow the religion and do everything you're supposed to do, you're going to be killed. And just talking about what a terrible religion it was in terms of its sanctioning of murder of non-believers, et cetera, et cetera. And, of course, Ben Affleck, typical Hollywood type. Oh, that's just terrible bigoted racism, and that the majority of Muslims are not in favor of murdering other people. Well, and I've often said this. I've said, yeah, it may be true, but the majority of Islamists are guilty of what a majority of certain Christians are guilty of. And I say majority, I mean right-wing Christians or certain branches of harboring or, what does an extremist want to do? He wants to kill an American. What does a moderate Islamist want? He wants an extremist to kill an American. And Americans, for instance, supported terrible, terrible terrorism in the IRA and all got away with it. Thousands, tens of thousands, maybe 1 million people in New York and Boston gave money to blow up little kids in England and Ireland. So we're no better than them at the end of the day. But anyhow, Bill Maher was basically saying that, we need to call out the Islamists